Good morning, students. Good morning, all of you. I hope you all have enjoyed your summer vacation and now you all are welcome again. And one more thing, I hope you all have done your science holiday homework as well. I'm very impressed with all of you from your examination, the way you have done your answers. I'm happy with you. Now we will start the next term syllabus, in which your first chapter is metal and non-metal. Okay, so today we will start a little bit about metals and non-metals, and then we will proceed in the next class. Okay, so in today's class, in this chapter, we will discuss about the introduction of metal and non-metal, the physical properties of metals, the non-metals, the physical properties of non-metals, the chemical properties of metals and non-metals, in which how it react with oxygen, it react with water, acid, base, and the last one is a displacement reaction. And it will be concluded with the uses of metals and non-metals. Now the first question that strikes in our mind is why we waste so much of time in understanding about metals. So let us see some of the things which we use in our day-to-day life, and they are made up of metals. So the first thing I'll talk about is the jewelry, because it is something which is very common to you. You would have seen your mother might be wearing it, your mom or your sister. Mostly rings, chains and earrings. So they are all jewelry, and they are made up of gold, silver, and they are called metals. Okay, the hammer which you use, that also has a metal part. The tiny nail, which is a very important again, and a lot of things, or a different part of instrument, they are all joined together with the help of these tiny nails, and they are made up of iron, and iron is again a metal. The fencing wires, these are the wires which are used for the protection of purpose. You would have seen that the people often fence their field or garden, or in fact many people use these kind of wires outside their boundaries just for protection. So these fencing wires are also made up of metals. Not only that, the gun used by the police officers for our protection is also made up of metal. A lot of things like refrigerator, bicycle, bikes, cars, the body part also are also made up of metals. Okay, the trophy or the wires which conduct electricity. How do we get electricity in our phones? Because of the wiring which is present, and so these are all made up of, these wires are made up of metals, and metals are extremely good conductor of electricity, and that is why we are used metals for making these wires. The trophy which you use, it is also made up of metal. You must be winning the gold or a silver medal in our school, so they are all again made up of metals. The car, as I said, a lot of vehicles have this metal parts. The watch also have a metal parts. Some of them they have a band also. This band part, it is also made up of metals. Okay, so you actually get to see metal in a day-to-day life. Another such classic example is utensils which you have in your kitchen. So these utensils made up, most of them are made up of metal, for example, or they can derive from the metal. Like iron, bronze, mixed with some other copper and something else, and form a utensil. So that's how we see the metals are extremely important to us. So metals are there with us in almost every time. We need them in some other way. So now we will try to understand in this lesson that what are metals, what are their properties, how do we get to know, how we distinguish between metal and non-metal. So before we start talking about the properties directly, it is first quickly look the history of the metal. So how these metals come into existence? I mean, did we create them, or they are already existed and discovered by somebody? So yes, it is already existed there, and it was discovered by the first metal which was discovered is gold, and it was discovered in 6000 BC. So you see that long time back, okay, prehistoric time, gold was discovered. Even that time, due to its shiny appearance, people was crazy about the gold. Okay, it was a very costly metal because of its appearance and shine. Now, gradually as time passed, other metal also discovered. Like a little later, copper was discovered, then silver, then lead, then tin, then iron. And this period in which during the iron was discovered, it is called an iron age, because once iron was discovered, it was comparatively cheaper than other metal like gold, silver. But at the same time, iron was like a very tough metal which could be used for construction things or many other things. In today's also, you can see that the bridges and all are made up of iron. So the discovery of iron was like a turning point, because this metal actually helped the mankind in a number of ways. So this period, this time was termed as Iron Age. Okay. Now then is gradually this process of discovering metal continued, gradually come to mercury, then platinum, antimony, bismuth, zinc, arsenic, and you see it went on. So we actually have a huge number of metals. So once the trend started, until and unless the gold was discovered, nobody even know about that something like metal exists. But once the gold was discovered, those who have an instinct that to discover something, they know that a new metal is always be there. So that's how more and more metal discovered. And you see that the first discovery happened in 6000 BC, and the discovery is still happening. It's still going on. It never stops. So if you look at here, aluminium was discovered. It was discovered just in 1827, which is not like, it was not a long time back. So now it is 2021, and the element is discovering the variety of ways in which these we have aluminium vessels, we have utensils, we have aluminium foil, we have many things. We have so many things made up of these metals. Okay, so it actually took a very long time to discover all these metals. Let us look at some of the common metals. So the first common metal I would say is gold, because you would have seen that the gold jewelry, gold is the first metal which was discovered, and many other jewelries made up of gold and silver also. Again, you see most anklets, chains, a lot of jewelries, sometimes we also use silver utensils and silver materials in temples and all. So then is copper, then zinc. So and then aluminium. So this line is because to make you if you look at the gold, okay, so color is very shine and yellowish. If you look at the silver, it is like the color is grayish, but it again has a shiny appearance. Each of these appearance, if you look at iron, it is more blackish and the shine is there, but obviously the shine is not that much as it is in the case of gold and silver. You see sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, cobalt, nickel. So in this you can actually get to see how exactly each of these metals look like. So these are most commonly used metals. I mean, you find a lot of application. In fact you can find gold and silver and iron, copper, aluminium, all these metals you will be find in your houses itself. Okay, so these are like most used common metals. Okay, now the question is, what are metals? Now, how do we know or how do we define a metal? What is that basic thing? Because you will see that when we start talking about the properties, we will see that there is a lot of property to which there are exceptions. They are not true for all metals. So what is that basic thing which define that this object is going to be of metal and this one is going to be a non-metal? So metals are those substances which are electropositive in nature. Now what do I mean by electropositive? I explain you. So these metal always have a tendency to lose electrons. But do you remember in one of the previous language I spoke about electrons, protons and neutrons? Now what is the object we see around us? It is all metal, and metal is made up of molecule. Molecule is made up of atoms, and anything that is we see around us is a matter. Matter is made up of molecules. Molecule are made up of atoms. And what do we have inside our atom? Now inside the atom we have three types of particles, that is protons, neutrons and electrons. Now protons are the positively charged particle, electrons are negatively charged particles and neutrons are neutral. So if you look at the structure of an atom, so this is how roughly the structure of an atom would look like. So here the proton and neutron, they are not mobile, so they are concentrated toward the center of the structure. So this is the structure of one atom. Toward the center you have the protons and neutrons. So the red and the blue dots are protons and neutrons, whereas electrons are mobile. So these are electrons. So how do they move? They keep moving in orbit. So they are like moving in an orbit around the protons and neutrons. So the protons and neutrons are present together, and this central portion of the atom is termed as nucleus. So nucleus contain proton and neutron, and the electrons are moving. They are moving in a orbit around the nucleus. Clear? So that is how the structure of atom roughly is. Now metals are those substances which always have tendency to lose electrons. So these electrons which are present, they always tend to lose. Okay, if a substance is losing an electron, what will happen to that substance? Electron is negatively charged. So basically the substance is losing a negatively charged particle. So then what will happen? The number of positively charged particles in that substance will be more. So the substance will become electropositive. That means, let me try to explain in this way. Suppose it is an atom. Just forget the fact where the electrons are. Just consider that is orange ball is a atom. Inside that you have protons and electron and neutron. So right now, since I am talking about the charges, I am not talking about the neutrons because neutrons are neutral. Now in this case, in case of a metal, what happen is, right now if you see the number of protons and electrons, they are equal. You see that blue balls are also 4 and the gray balls are also 4. That means the number of positively and negatively charged particles both are 4. Overall the atom is neutral. But what will happen if this atom loses one electron? So the gray balls, if one electron is gone, now what happens to this? Now it has 4 positively charged particles. The blue one are positively charged particles. And how many negatively charged particles? Only 3. So overall, this atom is now positively charged, right? So this kind of substances which always have a tendency to lose electron and become positive, this kind of substances are metals. Now you might have a question in your mind that which kind of substances we have a tendency to lose electron. For this, you need to understand the electronic configuration, how electrons are arranged in an atom. Now we are not discussing that part at this level, but as we go to higher classes, when you know about the electronic configuration, then you are able to identify which type of atom is able to lose the electron. Okay. So all the metals which we are talking about, whether it is sodium, whether it is potassium, whether it is iron, magnesium, aluminium, so they all have a tendency to lose electrons. So let me take an example of, say, sodium. So what happens to sodium? Sodium loses one electron and becomes what? Now once it loses one electron, it becomes Na+. So it acquires this positively charged because it has least it has loses one electron. So that is the tendency of metal, and that is they have been, and this is the basic definition of basic way by which we define metals. Examples are sodium, iron, copper, gold, silver, aluminum, etc. You name any metal and this property of metal will hold true for them, because this is the basic way in which they have been defined. So now we are going to talk about the physical properties of metals. Now when I say physical properties, I am talking about the properties which are externally visible. Okay, so the first property of metal we are going to talk about is metallic luster. Now what do we mean by luster? We say that a metal in their pure state have a luster. When I say luster, that means a shiny surface. So if you look at the metals in their pure form, so please remember this, when they are not mixed with anything else, okay, in their pure form they will always have a shiny surface, and this is a property which is exclusively present in a metals. Now if you want, you can just try this out yourself. So what you have to do is you take small pieces of iron, copper, aluminium and magnesium. So these kind of metals you take and just look at the appearance of these surfaces. Now what you do? Clean them by rubbing with a sandpaper. Now what is sandpaper? Sandpaper is generally, if you go to any shop and ask for the sandpaper, they will give you a paper with a rough surface, and it is used for cleaning the metal surfaces. Okay. So once you clean it, now you again observe the appearance on the surface. You will see that the surface is very, very shiny. So in fact, for gold and silver, you can actually see, we actually know how shiny it is. The gold jewelry, the silver jewelry. Have you ever, however, when they are mixed with some other substance, but still these metals have a lot of luster in them. So metallic luster is property or a physical property of metals. Now the next property is hardness. Now metals are generally hard, but the hardness varies from metal to metal. So metals, when are compared to non-metals, they are hard. So let us take some examples. Now you will observe that there are metals like sodium. So if you consider metal like sodium, you will see that they are comparatively soft when compared to other metals like iron, copper, aluminium, magnesium. So if you look at these metals, they are hard compared to sodium, which is kind of soft. So what kind of activity you can do? Maybe you can take one of these metals and you just try to bring the metal, cut the metal with the help of knife, and you will see that you are not able to do that because metals are quite hard. But if you try the same experiment with a piece of sodium, in that case you will see that you will be able to cut the piece of sodium, which shows that sodium is comparatively softer than compared to iron, copper and aluminum and magnesium and silver, etc. Okay. So in general, whatever the physical property we are going to talk about now, that doesn't mean that all the metals are going to have the same property. There are some exceptional cases. There are variation in one metal to another metal. Okay. As far as hardness is considered, all metals are hard. Even if you are comparing the iron, copper, aluminium, magnesium, they are not equally hard, but they are hard. Some of them is harder than the other. So the hardness varies from one metal to another. But there might be certain exceptional cases. They are not hard, they are soft. Like sodium. Sodium, that is the reason why substances or metal not classified on the basis on their physical properties, because there are too many exceptional cases. Therefore the definition of metal and non-metal is somebody who has a tendency to lose electron will be classified as metals. Okay, so the next thing is the property is malleability. Now what is malleability? Now this is the property by which the metals can be beaten into thin sheets. Now what do you mean by thin sheets? Now have you ever used aluminium foil for wrapping your food? Like when you pack your lunch box, thin foil is used to wrap the food. So what is that foil made up of? The foil is made up of aluminium. In fact, you would have seen this kind of boxes also. Now, how do you get such thin sheets out of the hard metal like aluminium? So that shows that aluminium is a property, malleability is a properties in which the metal can be beaten into thin sheets. Okay. Now take a hammer, take a metal object, maybe an iron nail or a small piece of aluminium if you have in your house, and start beating it with a hammer. Now when you are repeatedly beating it with the hammer, what do you see? You see is that the metal changes into shape. As you beat it wherever it is, it tends to become deformed in that portion. So basically, on beating the metals, they are able to change their shapes, because when you are continuously beating it, it might changes into thin sheets, and how it is happen in the case of aluminum. Not only aluminum foil, it is only just one example. So aluminium foil is just one example which shows the property of malleability. Another examples could be the silver foil, which is used for decorating sweets. If you go to sweet shop, you see a lot of sweets have a thin silver foil over it. That silver foil is also obtained from silver. That is actually beaten into thin sheets, and that's how we get it. So this shows that this property is called malleability, and it is exclusively in metals. If you would like to compare, if you try to compare, look at the similar property in case of non-metals, you will see that they do not have this property. Now when we talk about non-metals, we will talk about each of these properties again, and I will show how this is not happening in non-metal. Okay. So gold and silver are the most malleable metal, because this much of flexibility they are used to design in this gold and silver, right? So if you look at the gold and silver necklaces or bangles, they all have different designs, and they are all made up of gold. So that had been possible because of this property. Okay. Now there are more properties which we will discuss in the next class, because I think this is enough for the first class. And please go through the video. If you have any confusion in whatever part it will be, I will explain it again. This chapter is very, very, very important for you all. So please go through it. And thank you, class.